This is the continuation from my last video regarding self-talk, because having that compassion, kindness, patience, forgiveness is a sign of the divine. We are supposed to ascend spiritually, internally, our awareness, our consciousness. Only divine has the right to judge. We are not supposed to judge ourselves. Judging, when I say judging, self-judgment, it might come as the very smallest of things. As simple as something that you kept your shoes in a different way today. That was not right in your understanding because lots of reason. Maybe it would be inconvenient for you clean later, or it would feel like there is a lot of dirt would come in because of it. Something very simple as like that. Two very important, complex decisions in life. This is exactly why people, if you ask old people, especially people who lived a life where they were too nice. There are people who are too nice to others when they were younger. They might either have regrets in their life, or they come to a place they let go of the regret. But they would probably say, if you pick up a line from them, usually to live life, if any elderly that you would ask, they would probably say to live a life that they wanted to do this but they couldn't, or they should have lived a little bit better life. If you ask a question to an elderly person, they may really suggest that to live without any regrets. It is because of that we are supposed to be that kind to ourselves, because having the self-criticism, having the self-judgment means it's unkindness towards the self. Because even if a person who may think that they did something wrong towards somebody else, towards themselves, it can be tricky to some people, I'll tell you, because imagine if a person has a behavior or a personality where they're too straightforward, and they may think that this is a good thing, but being straightforward is actually good, but it cannot be cruelty as well. Having a little bit consideration is also good, but in order to, it feels like if somebody is getting hurt and lying to them, it might be good in some cases, but if that lie gives the other person hope and it hurts them even bigger in the future, then it's better to speak the truth from the beginning itself. There are a lot of people who feel guilty for speaking the truth because they feel like the other person might feel anxious, anxiety, or sad. Sometimes it's very essential to speak the truth. Sometimes it's okay to not to speak the truth, to protect somebody, but it's very personal, it's very different. But having to come to the point of this video, we are supposed to whenever you think of a divine, you wouldn't think anything cruel, isn't it? Because divine is something that's always unconditional loving. That is the point of the divine, and that is what we are supposed to do. Having ascension consciously means we learn being who our at least closest to or towards our higher self. Our higher self is a complete divine. It knows what is and what is not, everything, as in inhabiting in a human body with a consciousness that's actually connected to the divine world. We are supposed to not only be kind to others, but also being very assertive towards others as well, putting the boundaries when it is not good for us. If being nice is bad for us, it is very essential that we put boundaries with such people and keep those kind of negativity away. It's very important to be kind to ourselves as well, because a lot of people who are taught that be kind to others, be kind to others, be kind to others. But how many people who grew up listening their parents telling themselves, their children that be kind to yourself, child. Something. This is exactly why people, I wouldn't say all, there are people who criticize themselves. They feel like they're righteous, they're nice, they're good, uh, loved by the divine. No, divine wants us to love ourselves too. Cruelty is cruelty, unkindness is unkindness, whether we show it to somebody else. It's same if we do that to ourselves. Self-abandonment, extreme criticism, that doing a lot of things that's not good for us. Even something not speaking up is cruelty towards the self. That suffocation is something, if somebody experiencing any suffocation in their life, the unhappiness, it's a sign that there's something, some issues, something that need to be addressed. In order to understand, having that self-talk is very, very important. So there are a lot of people who are taught to take less from life, because they may try to convince themselves it's okay to take less, it's okay to take these lesser things from life, which is they're not supposed to do. Because imagine if there are two children in the family, and one child is always made to feel like elders has to eat first and then children are fed. The child will grow into that, especially if somebody guest comes. I'll give you some example. I'll move on to another example because that is more proper. Imagine if the child is sick, maybe have a fever or cold, or it's very drowsy and feeling not well, and it's sleeping on the bed, and suddenly some relatives comes, and suddenly parents are like, wake up, they are calling your name, they haven't seen you in a while, wake up. And child is like, the parents knows the child is sick, and they're forcing the child to get up to greet the relatives or whoever visited, whether it was a fixed or before they knew that, or suddenly these people showed up, or whatever that it is. The child is forcing itself to get up from the bed, even when it doesn't want, even if it is not sick. The child is forcing itself to get from the bed to greet an adult, whether it's a relative or somebody. It's simply because the parents or the guest wants to, especially if the kid is sick. And imagine, because the parents think it is not nice to not to do that. But if a parent has an understanding that the kid is sick, so let's not disturb the kid, let the kid sleep peacefully, even if it is something very close relationship like a grandparents or something, and let the kid sleep, and make sure the relatives or whoever visiting, either they keep their volume low, not to disturb, because the priorities. The kid may actually learn to be kind to themselves, but if the kid is not learning that self-kindness, it might, I wouldn't say everybody, but it might learn this kind of a behavior, because it's natural to learn these kind of things from a parent because of the life experience they share with adults, the elders in the family, whether it's a father, mother, brother, sister, or a grandparent, or a siblings, or cousins, or aunts and uncles, or even the neighbors. So imagine if the kid is grown up and married, and suddenly it's in the bed again, and suddenly somebody calls and says, I want to visit today. And the child, now grown up adult, knowing that if somebody is visiting, means whether it's he or a she, they have to provide certain in a way they have to welcome the guest, whether it's just visiting for even just half an hour. It means they have to get up, provide something, drinks, juice or coffee or tea or some snacks or even lunch or bigger, whatever it is. And if this person has learned this kind of a self-abandonment, they may actually get up even knowing that they are actually having a serious fever and they're not supposed to do that, and they never let this person know that they're having the fever, or they may even if they inform, if the other person is forcefully, just we don't have to stay too long, we'll just drop in, and this person is like, yeah, no problem, visit it. And it was something unkindness that they are doing to themselves without realizing it, because they feel obliged, they feel like this is what they're supposed to do. And there are a lot of people who do that to other people when they grow up because they think that it's the right thing to do. Imagine the wife is sick and the husband is inviting their colleagues or their parents or their relatives and saying that it's just a fever and nothing else. And because if someone else is, if it is done by somebody else, the wife might actually feel a little bit, sad that this person is supposed to protect and they are doing this. It's because the husband grew up in a situation like that, and it seems normal to do that. If somebody else pushes this kind of behavior, then that is completely different. But if somebody who is in a place where they can really say, look, I have a fever, I'm not feeling that great, you really don't have to feel like you need to go to the hospital for the drip. Even if you have a little bit of a cold, if you have a feeling like you're not feeling well and you want to take a rest, or even if you're not having anything else but you need that one day time for yourself just to unwind yourself, and if somebody says they want to come around and either they expect a lot of things to be served or a conversation that goes on for half a day, it is our responsibility to tell them, look, this is how it is. Or without having to go through all of those things, we just might actually tell them, no, look, next week seems like a nice thing, I have a prior appointment. These kind of a white lies is okay, because we do not need to explain everything to everybody, because if it is a close person, close relationship, then we might want to say these kind of things. But if somebody else, then we might actually reject that. We just need to give them, see, this is how it is, we cannot receive it today, and if we really want to receive that person, we might give them another chance, say next week would be nice, these kind of things. So these kind of a little kindness that we're supposed to show ourselves. So this seems like a something people usually either take it personally, and it's because of their own relationship with themselves. Because for example, if somebody has a inclination towards right hand and left hand, and if somebody gives them something from left hand, they might actually take a really offend, and it might feel like a bigger thing for them. And for the somebody else who always uses both the hands without having any relationship with the understanding of what's the meaning of all of those things, they may never actually feel a single thing, and it doesn't bother them. Even if they receive something from the left hand, it is because of the belief system people hold on to. Respect, disrespect, this is something that internal, but self-respect is something that we are supposed to sit down and think about. This is self-respect and this is ego. That is completely different. My point of this video was that self-judgment and self-talk, this is exactly why we are supposed to be having that. When people consciously ascend, I'll tell you, people who are really spiritually ascending, they have a way about them that they are very compassionate, they do not get angry or irritated, or they are not bothered about a lot of things. Nothing Nothing seems to phase them. But they do have that self love, self respect, but without the ego. So when the consciousness, that guilt is not the consciousness. The feeling the guilt and shame is not the consciousness, it is the behavior and way of life that got inserted in people's life because of the lessons or indoctrination that they received from some other humans. It is simple as it is, because when the consciousness works, how it is important to be kind to others, showing ourselves the respect, having that self acceptance, having self worth, having understanding that we are supposed to be kind and gentle with ourselves also sneaks in. So that is the point of consciousness. Feeling guilt is something that's not consciousness. Feeling guilt is something that comes because of lot of, it might be a reason of, because of a trauma, feeling guilty. For example, if you look at, imagine a person who's married for decades and 50s, 60s, a married woman. She might feel guilty for just getting up in the morning and going out and doing nothing. And there is a lot of people in their home, irrespective of whether other people are ready to clean and cook for the day or not. This person, this woman who's married woman, she might feel guilty just getting up in the morning and doing nothing, reading the papers, drinking coffee, or not even making it, ordering somebody else to make the coffee and drink it and spend the whole day without even doing anything, sleeping all day, because their consciousness, they feel like it's their responsibility. And this is the same reason that a lot of people, even when they are sick, they get up, they cook, they clean, they do a lot of things without letting their children, their husband, their wife, knowing that they were supposed to take rest. This is exactly the cruelty, that without even understanding that these kind of people, well, I wouldn't particularly tell these kind of people means a particular person. It is something that people might actually end up doing to themselves without realizing, because they feel like it's their responsibility. Even when they're sick, they may give a lot of reason that they are household. They're supposed to do. They are not supposed to get up in the morning, and relax and drink coffee and go out at 11 o'clock and have lunch outside and come back, because they're housewife. They're not supposed to do. Their kids are grown. What they're doing, it is because they are understanding that that is how they're supposed to be. This is unkindness, especially when somebody is eating the food. You have usually ladies have the habit of eating the leftover food because they feel guilty to throw it out. It takes money, it's a hard work, there are a lot of things. What is the consequences of eating that leftover food that's not supposed to, they're not supposed to eat it? Imagine if they visit somebody else's house and if they're served 2 days old food, how they would feel. It's not nice feeling, isn't it? If you go to a restaurant and even if it is free, if they serve a week old food, how it would feel. But eating at home, if they are choosing to eat, it doesn't usually bothers these kind of people. It's because they convince themselves that it's okay. This is not nice. If they are living in somebody else's house and if they are fed leftover food every single time, it would taunt them for life, at least for some times, isn't it? It's a memory that they do not want to remember. This is exactly how universe looks at us, that you are okay with this. This is exactly why we are supposed to be kinder to ourselves. And whether it's eating leftover food for whatsoever reason, or eating something burned, or doing things even when somebody is sick, or simple as something, canceling a plan to go out and do something because somebody called and said that they are visiting. These kind of things are very personal, because people have a very different relationship, everybody, their belief systems are different, but this is a big things. But when it comes to smallest of the things, when we do things, sorry, oh, for example, closing the curtain, somebody forgot to close the curtain at night before they go to sleep, and all the cold came in, and I don't know, maybe there is a lot of moisture in the room. It's very essential to not to judge the self, but to focus on the solution, and saying that let's remember properly from now on, and saying that it's okay to the self is very essential. If somebody says, for example, if somebody would like kindness from others, it's our responsibility to kind to ourselves as well. That is the point of having that spiritual understanding of self-talk, because our higher self is very kind as a human, because of the lessons, not the lessons, because of the things that we as a human absorb, or indoctrination that we receive from other people through a lot of things, is the reason of that self-judgment, that criticism, that unkindness. Even people with the bad habits, self-criticism is not necessary, and understanding and accepting and practicing a different thing is what's important without criticizing. This is how it is. People turn around in their life because they experienced kindness in their life, not punishment. I hope it's helpful. This is important of being kind to the self, and having that kindness through self-talk, even in the smallest of things, is very important.